Lesson 5, Level B2, Gorky Park's Past. Moscow's Gorky Park used to be a place to avoid. Now it's a magnet for the Russian bourgeoisie. Gorky Park is famous for many things, not many of them good. For Muscovites, their city's biggest green space used to be known as a place of regimented Soviet-era fun, full of strolling proletarian families eating cheap ice cream to the sound of military bands. To foreigners, it was the venue and title of Martin Cruz Smith's 1981 novel of faceless corpses and cutthroat Soviet black marketeering. And then, of course, there was that Scorpion song, Follow the Moskva down to Gorky Park, listening to the wind of change, etc. To me, it was mostly famous as a place to avoid. As a young reporter for the Moscow Times back in the mid-1990s, I'd nearly been beaten up there by drunken paratroopers. Gorky Park was where poor Muscovites would take cheap dates, a wilderness of garish carnival rides, loud pop music, and overpriced kebabs. Moscow's Night Wolves biker gang, the local answer to Hell's Angels, had their lair in the park's depths, and you had to pay to go in, despite it being one of the few large public spaces in the capital. But this summer, the wind of change has again come to Gorky Park. In place of cheesy fun fairs, drunken soldiers, and an apocalyptic wasteland of post-Soviet broken concrete, the park is now full of free Wi-Fi using, bicycling, non-alcoholic, mojito-sipping young things catching the late summer rays. The health and safety-defying carnival rides are gone, replaced by rose gardens and fountains. They had actually been there all along, it turned out, but the rides had been built over them. The lawns are strewn with giant beanbags designed for lounging on with a laptop, and in place of the 90s-era prefab booths, the management has put up wooden reproductions of the original 1930s constructivist-style kiosks selling juices and sandwiches, but no vodka. The banks of the Moscow River, which runs for 3 miles along one side of Gorky Park, has an urban beach modeled on Paris's Seine-side plagues. A couple of adventurous French women have even set up an open-air pétanque alley. Holy middle class, I thought when I saw this. Russia maybe does have a shot at becoming a normal, civilized country, rather than a kind of Nigeria with snow. Let me explain my surprise. Over the last decade and a half, Moscow has been transformed beyond recognition by a tsunami of oil money. The low-rise, once rather low-key historic downtown has been seeded with vast and garish new residential and retail developments. Tens of thousands of handsome old buildings have been demolished and rebuilt, all with the blessing of Yuri Luskov, the man who was Moscow's hyperkinetic mayor from 1992 to 2010. But despite all the money pouring into City Hall, both officially and unofficially, suffice it to say that Lushkov's wife, construction billionaire Elena Baturina, was unembarrassed by her status as Russia's richest woman. Pretty much none of it went into creating more and better public spaces. Indeed, the city seemed to do everything to squeeze the public out of as much space as possible, kicking Soviet-era children's libraries and music schools and pensioners' clubs out of the historic buildings and selling them off. It was even getting impossible to walk down the street as drivers blithely parked on the sidewalks. Indeed, there is still no system of parking tickets in the city, which also suffers from some of the world's worst traffic jams. No, in Luskov's Moscow, duty, space, and pleasure were commodities to be bought, not given away for free.